Khan is my name.
Khan, nothing else.
Khan.
Hey, it's Janelle Waz, and welcome back to another episode of Treknalysis. Khan.
Khan!
One of Trek's most popular and dangerous villains, and the namesake of Star Trek II, Khan, played by veteran actor Ricardo Montalban, is a staple in the franchise despite having only made 2 appearances, one in the original series and in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Heck, Wrath of Khan is considered by many to be the best Star Trek movie. Not me though, I'm more partial to Star Trek IV.
Admiral, there be whales here!
Today on Treknalysis, we're talking the Season 1 original series episode Space Seed, Khan's first appearance in the franchise. Fun fact, I actually watched this episode for the first time during a required course in college. We were supposed to examine Khan as a cult leader and compare his leadership style to Captain Kirk. And to be honest, I don't remember much else other than we got to watch Star Trek in class. But now, no college papers, no homework. I'm talking about Star Trek, and there's nothing my professors can say about it. Heck, I'm teaching the Star Trek class now. So, is this an adversary Kirk can't defeat? Can a group of supermen take over the flagship of the Federation? And most importantly, who has the best chess, Kirk or Khan?
I have 5 times your strength. Now be careful.
Sound medical advice.
But before I go further, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I talk a lot about Star Trek, video games, and whatever else I feel like talking about. And if you'd like to help support the channel, consider becoming a member. Be great to have you aboard. We open on the Enterprise staring at the TV. But appearing on the view screen is an Earth vessel floating around in space, which wouldn't be considered weird except that there hasn't been flights from Earth in this sector for years, and this ship seems to be from the 1990s. I mean, the Beanie Babies were a dead giveaway.
When something's that good and literally sells itself, that's how hot this is.
But even weirder is bioscans are picking up heartbeats on board, though they can't possibly be human because they're way too slow. Okay, kinda weird, but it's not doing anything dangerous.
All decks go to full alert.
Or not. After staring at the weird 90s ship for the past hour, the ship is finally identified as the SS Botany Bay, which is named after the penal colony in Australia. That's totally not suspicious or anything. Data on the ship is scarce, but it was apparently launched sometime during the mid-90s, during Earth's last World War. Yes, the Battle of NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys raged on. 'Twas the battle of the boy bands. It was larger than life and tearing up my heart.
You might been hurt, babe.
I do love how old sci-fi is delightfully outdated, though it goes to show you that if you're going to write a sci-fi story, put it far enough into the future so it doesn't look dumb in a couple of decades. But in this timeline of original Trek, in the 90s, there were a group of scientists that experimented with selective breeding, attempting to create superhumans. Sounds serious enough, so Kirk decides to beam over there and check things out. Hey Bones, you wanna go with?
Well, if you're actually giving me a choice, I'm not.
However, Kirk also needs someone with expertise in late 20th century Earth. Alright Kirk, I'm up for it. I'll go over there and tell you all about their Sega Genesises, their Sega CDs, their 90s Trek, their GoldenEye.
McGivers? Lieutenant MacGyvers.
No, it's not the beloved Richard Dean Anderson character going along, but Lieutenant MacGyvers, just about ready to do some painting and whose name Kirk can't remember for some reason.
Well, come on, Lieutenant,
MacGyver, sir.
Come on, Jim, that's the kind of crap that drove Homer Simpson crazy.
Who the devil are you?
Oh, come on, this is not a ship from the 90s. Where are the scrunchies? Where are the gigapets? Not a frosted tip to be seen? And do I see a single computer running Napster? These people are in suspended animation from the 90s, and not a single one wearing overalls? There should be a stack of Spice Girls CDs right there. And not even a single Sega system? That was prime Sega time.
She doesn't even have Sega. She's such a troglodyte.
Necessary because of the time involved in space travel until about the year 2018.
Oh, bless you, 60 Star Trek writers. You had such high hopes for us. Can I interest you in a meme? So this is a sleeper ship filled with people from the late 20th century. And most notably, according to MacGyvers, they're hot. In fact, this one that looks an awful lot like Ricardo Montalban is particularly fly. She can't even look away from him!
A man from the 20th century coming alive.
He's dying.
Since this guy is too hot to die, MacGyvers begs Kirk to save him. Save the 90s heartthrob, Captain! Kirk breaks the hunk out so McCoy can work on treating him. This decision would have long-lasting repercussions. Have the Simpsons been on? They're still on.
There are a great many unanswered questions about those years.
Like what did Sega do that Nintendo didn't?
What Nintendo?
Kirk pays a visit to the invalid in sickbay, and he's recovering remarkably well. Heck, even in his weakened state, he's healthier than either Kirk or Bones. Oh ho ho! Sneaking another peek at the hottie, are we? This man is not only an enhanced human being, he has sexy powers.
Lieutenant.
Kirk pulls MacGyvers aside because she not so subtly has the hots for a man she's only seen asleep. He's just that hot! However, MacGyvers insists that she's only interested in him for his brain. Girl, no one's buying that. Kirk points out that men were more adventurous back then, bolder, a regular Harrison Ford, if you will. Which MacGyvers agrees.
If I can have honesty, it's easier to overlook mistakes. That's all.
I like this line on its own, but I have my issues with it being said here. Look, I value honesty, and I like when people are upfront about their mistakes and own up to them. So I like seeing Kirk with that mindset, and I wouldn't mind working for him myself. But Kirk reprimands MacGyvers in this scene for her actions on the away mission, and she doesn't really acknowledge any mistakes here. Heck, I'm not even sure why Kirk is reprimanding her. For finding 90s men hot? Asking Kirk to save the life of a man that's all that in a bag of chips? The former isn't really something she can control, and that can be remedied by reminding her to focus on the mission. But the latter? Aren't they in Starfleet to help people? Wouldn't any of them try to save the life of a dying man? As far as any of them knows at this point, she didn't really do anything to jeopardize the away team. Am I missing something here? Let me know. Meanwhile, Mr. Sexy and his deep cleavage are waking up to do some calisthenics.
Pump up the jam, pump it up while your feet are stumping.
But he also has murder on the brain.
Well, either choke me or cut my throat. Make up your mind.
You know, we don't give Bones enough credit for being a badass. Sure, the guy's afraid of having his atoms disassembled and reassembled on a planet for an away mission, which is kinda justified if you think about it.
It's not crazy at all. You are being taken apart molecule by molecule.
But dude just held a knife to his throat and he didn't even flinch.
It would be most effective if you would cut the carotid artery just under the left ear.
Not even Riker would do a bluff like that.
Is that what is known as a poker face?
I was simply trying to avoid an argument.
Well, now that the patient is awake and has many, many questions, Kirk comes in for the appropriate introductions to the mysterious, sexy stranger.
Khan, nothing else.
Khan, I have a few questions first.
Did Titanic bomb as I thought it would?
But thanks to the Oscar-winning movie, nothing can stop the momentum of its popularity.
Khan demands that Kirk revive his crew, which they will, but when they arrive at the starbase. Kirk, meanwhile, wants the 411 on Khan, specifically the nature of his expedition.
I find myself growing fatigued.
Where is your remote? Seinfeld is on tonight.
All because of Wrath of Khan?
Yes!
Well, it was the best of those movies.
Khan claims that he used to be an engineer and would like some reading material while he rests. Well, sure, guy we just met, here's a computer with all our specs and technical manuals on it. Have fun. On the bridge, Kirk and Spock chat about Khan. He's not exactly what Kirk expected of a 20th century man. Spock observes that Khan's been reading an awful lot from their technical library. But I'm sure it's nothing. Why not give him a map to engineering and all the access codes while we're at it? They also suspect that Khan is a product of the selective breeding program that went on during the 90s, since his age would be about right, and about 80 of these Supermen went unaccounted for.
Well, they were hardly Supermen.
You're telling me they look nothing like Christopher Reeve. Meanwhile, with only academic interest in mind, I'm sure, MacGyver's pays Khan a purely professional visit, exhibited not only by Khan's Mrs. Robinson-esque leg position, but also MacGyver sitting pretty and flirty.
And why do you wear your hair in such an uncomplimentary fashion?
Oh, hell no!
My hair!
Son of a... I've already covered how I really hated this in the next-gen episode, The Price, especially as someone with very long hair. Troy literally met this guy, and he was already running his gross fingers through her hair. And here's Khan doing the exact same thing. And it's even more egregious considering MacGyver's has an even more complicated hairstyle than Troy. That being said, I can see how Khan can get away with it. Oh, don't get me wrong, I would be livid if he tried this with my hair. But the guy has charisma. He said very little to MacGyver's, who already thinks he's hot. But he has a confidence that would only make him more attractive than she already finds him. Plus, he's Ricardo freaking Montalban, not Crazy Lloyd Braun.
Serenity now. Insanity later.
Tell me, would you like the Rachel or shall I crimp your hair? MacGyver's gets the idea to throw a dinner party for Khan, which is anything but subtle, and Khan opts to wear this. Hey Khan, the 70s called. They want their jacket back.
Available even in fine Corinthian leather. So very luxurious, yet surprisingly affordable.
And then MacGyver's worst fears come true. Her celebrity crush finds her Tumblr fan art page.
I am honored.
And then they make out a little bit.
Just how strongly is she attracted to him?
So, Mr. Khan, tell us all about being a tyrannical despot.
We offered the world order.
My Seinfeld finale script would have ended the show properly.
See, now to me, that button is in the worst possible spot.
The dinner is an awkward mess. Khan grows fatigued while sipping on some blue Fruitopia, and he retires to his quarters while Kirk breaks the fourth wall.
I intend to take this ship.
Jeez, after one bad dinner party?
Ooh, that was a bad toast.
MacGyver stops by Khan's quarters to apologize for the dinner, and it becomes very apparent that none of this is healthy. Pressuring her, squeezing her hand down, throwing her across the floor. He asks her to do something, she doesn't want to do it, he pushes her away, and she comes crawling back for fear of losing him. It's very clear he has a hold on her, and he's using this to his advantage. Pleasing him is like an intoxicating drug to her. I talked a little about the cult leadership of Alexis from DS9's Paradise not long ago, and if you look at her and Khan, they have some stuff in common. The manipulation, the punishment, and somehow convincing people to go along with them despite the abuse. Look at how Steven, the man thrown into the hot box for a minor crime, comes out apologizing to Alexis, and how MacGyver's, who doesn't want to do what Khan asks, comes crawling back to him when rejected.
I'm sorry, Alexis, that I let down the community.
Go, I say.
I'll do anything you ask.
Meanwhile, the Enterprise crew managed to dig up a bio of Khan. His full name is Khan Noonien Singh, who in the 90s ruled over a quarter of Earth. So how the hell did they not recognize him when they found him? No one said, hey, this guy looks an awful lot like that guy in my 5th grade history book? And don't even say he was a random leader that only history buffs would remember. Scotty himself admitted he knew about him.
I must confess, gentlemen, I've always held a sneaking admiration for this one.
Plus, Khan is a significant historical figure who ruled over a significant portion of the world. Someone's going to recognize him. So, this begs the question. Why didn't you say anything before he woke up the crazy tyrant, Scotty?
Always held a sneaking admiration for this one.
Kirk and Scotty are going on about how Khan was the best of tyrants, which really puzzles Spock, maybe even appalls him. Except he's a Vulcan, and that's a human emotion.
There were no massacres under his rule.
And as little freedom.
But hey, at least Khan doesn't have a man bun, am I right? Oh, come on!
I don't like this thing! And here's what I'm doing with it!
Kirk put some guards around Khan's quarters on account that it's probably not the greatest idea to have a crazy 90s tyrant running around the ship putting slap bracelets on everything. Captain, you are stealing my sunshine. Khan reveals that his intent was to colonize a planet with his fellow Supermen, and that Kirk couldn't possibly understand why because he's so inferior to all of them. In fact, humanity hasn't progressed much since Khan left Earth, and he'll do quite nicely in this century. Kirk's heard enough, and he leaves Khan, locking the door behind him.
Power up!
With the help of MacGyvers, Khan releases his crew, including a woman with a bad wig. Hey, any defense against Khan the hairdresser, am I right? And they quite easily take over the Enterprise.
Mr. Khan was very thorough in his study of our tech manuals.
Wasn't that a great idea, Kirk?
I take full responsibility.
With the Enterprise under his control, Khan tries to strike a deal with the crew to join him to find a planet to conquer. He promises to treat them well. The crew refuses to budge, more interested in Captain Kirk's welfare. That's right, only MacGyvers was susceptible to Khan's sexy powers.
Stupid sexy Flanders!
Engage the viewing screen, please.
Oh, hell no! Though I have to admit, Uhura's defiance is pretty badass. MacGyver steps in to protect Uhura, but Khan engages the screen anyways without Uhura's help to show Kirk in the decompression chamber, hoping that'll convince the crew to join him to save Kirk, and threatens that each of them will take a trip to the decompression chamber until they agree. And they still don't comply.
It's so useless!
MacGyvers doesn't want to watch and asks to be excused, though Khan hoped she would have been stronger, further proving that even he thinks she, the woman he loves to control, is inferior to he and his Supermen. As MacGyvers leaves, Khan announces that Kirk is dead. And he would have been if MacGyvers hadn't taken the time to rescue him.
Captain, I saved your life. Now please don't kill him.
With the aid of Spock knocking out Khan's guard, Kirk and Spock work to regain control of the Enterprise by making everyone take a little nap. Kirk then heads over to engineering, with Khan already there, and to Kirk's credit, he does go in with a phaser. The problem is that Khan breaks it like it's a Happy Meal toy.
People of Earth, unite and bring your kids to McDonald's for a Star Trek meal.
We then witness a fight between Kirk and Khan. And also a fight between a man who looks nothing like William Shatner fighting a man who looks nothing like Ricardo Montalban. Yeah, this is one of the downsides of upscaling old TV shows. The stunt doubles are painfully obvious. I got legs, and I know how to use them. Kirk finally defeats Khan, who has 5 times his strength. Only because he happened to get knocked against a console, which had a plastic stick inside, which he uses to smack Khan into submission. And this scene is so iconic that I even have the action figure set of it. Khan, his Supermen, and MacGyvers are brought in for a hearing, surely to receive a just punishment.
I declare all charges and specifications in this matter have been dropped.
Excuse me? Commandeering a starship, unauthorized use of the transporter, tyrannical crimes he got away with in the 90s? Just dropping the charges. The Enterprise, however, is passing Ceti Alpha 5, and they're basically dropping Khan and his crew off at Space Australia.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
MacGyvers is given the choice of court-martial or going with Khan, and she chooses to go with Khan. Why was she given a choice? She clearly needs to talk to someone about this unhealthy obsession she has with Khan. Maybe having a counselor on board isn't such a bad idea. The episode ends with Spock musing that it'll be interesting to see what becomes of Ceti Alpha 5 in 100 years after Khan has had his run of it. Oh, honey, you're not going to have to wait 100 years.
This is Ceti Alpha 5!
And that was Space Seed, the introduction of Khan and the precursor of Star Trek II. And if there are only 30 good episodes of the original series, as Futurama says, then this is definitely one of the good ones. In fact, it's top tier original Trek. I think the reason why this episode is so successful is Ricardo Montalban. He plays a cold, calculating villain that also has the charisma to gain followers. And on top of all that, Khan isn't all talk. He can back up his threats against the Enterprise. This isn't an easy fight that Kirk can just talk his way out of or even overpower his enemy. Khan would have been successful if it wasn't for dumb luck that allowed Kirk to defeat him. He's a force to be reckoned with and is probably one of the most dangerous villains in Star Trek. Heck, his charisma is the object of admiration on the Enterprise. Sure, MacGyver's was probably ripe for mutiny. After all, she was working for a captain that couldn't even remember her name, and she had a fascination for a particular type of man. But even Scotty and Kirk can't help but admire the man, much to Spock's bewilderment. Heck, that charisma even won over the audience, and Khan wasn't just a one-off character. They brought him back for one of the movies, a movie that's a fan favorite. While original Trek has its share of forgetful villains, Khan is a villain worthy of Captain Kirk, and because of Ricardo Montalban, we're still talking about Khan over 50 years later.
But if you will excuse me, gentlemen, ladies, I grow fatigued again.
So what do you think? How do you like Space Seed? Do you love it? Do you hate it? How do you rank Khan as a villain? And what are some of your favorite original Star Trek episodes? Please leave comments below and discuss. As always, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Treknalysis. If you like what you see, why not give my video a like and subscribe to my channel? Tell your friends. Until next time,
Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan!